Thanks for tuning in to Prime Sports NASCAR. Eric Smith back in the house, joining CJ Radoon and yours truly as we are back after the All-Star break. The NASCAR Cup Series will be in Nashville, or Lebanon, I believe it's called. Is that what it's called, boys? Lebanon?
Yes.
Okay. United States, right?
Like a suburb.
Okay.
This one.
And we'll talk about that race coming up here in just a short while. But Eric, good to have you on this show once again. I know that we've been doing some Monday shows, but this was the perfect week to have you back again without a race last week.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Other than the All-Star race that looked a lot like the rest of the season, Kyle Larson keeps dominating. So other than that, yeah, glad to be the band's back together for this week.
What did you think about CJ about the All-Star race? We didn't know what to expect. You know what I was thinking about is what in the world were the fans in the stands thinking? Seriously, especially anybody that didn't have any micro headsets or anything. How could they even understand what was going on?
Yeah, it was like throwing everything against a wall to see what kind of sticks. And then, you got to do math to see how you line up at the end. So nobody's got any real idea what's going on. It was interesting. I give them all the credit in the world for trying something new. That's definitely the place that you want something new. I think the racing was good. Yeah. So I think it proves that the package that they put together, given the circumstances, is going somewhere. They need to refine the format, sure, and make it a little bit easier to follow. But I give them credit for getting the on-track entertainment going better than they have at many tracks that we've seen in the past.
Yeah, and look, I still don't understand why they don't feel like they can go to Daytona. I just don't understand it, or even Talladega, but Daytona, because that's more of their. I know it's not their capital, but it kind of is. You know, it's sort of like when people say, "What's the capital of Canada?" People will say, "Is it Montreal?" Well, no, it's not, but you don't really, so it doesn't matter, but everybody knows that that's the biggest city in Canada. Same thing about NASCAR. Their biggest defining racetrack is Daytona. So why not have the All-Star race in Daytona? It's still Florida. The weather's going to be nice, and you want to have these great races. Just go ahead and let them race for 30 laps. I mean, come on. How awesome would that be?
Be really cool.
Yeah.
Try it. Completely new rules package at Daytona. Don't do the restrictor or tapered plate stuff. Try to make them spread out or something. Yeah, try something completely different.
So,
Eric, sorry.
Quickly, what did they do, Eric? Again, with how they were able to change the setup of the cars in this.
It was the horsepower is down to 510 instead of the 550. Obviously, a few other, like the downforce levels were different. Like most teams or drivers were saying, there's not much you're going to take from that race to apply it for the playoff, which was by design too. Like, we don't want to give anybody advantage by running this race and then the open cars, whoever didn't make it. So yeah, I mean, completely different package. It also goes to show my main thing is shorter races. That was shorter race, and look what you got: more breaks, shorter race, and it was more impactful. Like IndyCar race, for example, both races were like an hour and 40 minutes last weekend. Each race, look how much
you're forgetting the hour 14.
There was a red flag. You take the red flag out, that's what. Yeah. But it was the shorter the race, the better. I think there's more action. I think that showed this All-Star race. The shorter, the better. I think it looked better. So,
and why can't they use this package or manipulate the cars like this on the similar setups at these other racetracks, at the similar tracks? Why can't they do that? Why won't they want to do that?
Well, this was kind of a preview. I think the next gen car is going to race like this.
Oh, they will.
I think this was kind of that preview. Yeah, this was kind of like a preview of that.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
They're trying to go down the road. That road.
That's good, right?
I think it's not. Some drivers, I get their side where like, hey, look, I can't separate. I'm just foots to the floor and the car goes.
I know, it is a little bit. You do wonder how that's going to work, because it's true. It's like they were all kind of the same where they were. They didn't get much, but they're going to have the stage breaks. It's going to be a longer race. There's going to be cautions. There's going to be different strategies, and you hope that will. But look, I understand that, but I think it should still give us better racing.
Yeah. The only thing my only drawback from the All-Star race was, like you guys just talked about, the rules were like You need a calculator. It's like, hey, sometimes they give a rally towel at a game to come in. This one's like, here's your calculator, here's your number 2 binder, your number 2 pencil and a binder, and go ahead and figure out. I mean, I didn't know. It's like,
why didn't they put it on the screen?
I don't know.
They didn't even let us know.
Weird.
They just
the pit stops. Yeah, like who's beating who? They're all pitting on different. Like, can we talk?
We'll tell you after the caution or after the
commercial. Did it not seem a little fixed? Like, so let's see. Chase Elliott. Oh, let's make this 11.2. No, not 13. That's how do we really know? Unless you have a stopwatch and watching, we're at the mercy. It just a little more transparency. The only thing I'll give Fox the benefit of the doubt is I don't think even they knew. Like, who knew what we're actually doing? It's hard to broadcast something you have no idea what the rules are. But I also think the broadcast could have done a better job of figuring out to let us know. Because
it was terrible.
There was no talk during the race. Like, so who's starting where for the next segment? I mean, it's
like the second or third segment, Clint Boyer said, oh, well, where Kyle Busch is right now, he seems to be in the best position. And I was going, oh, he does? I guess that's good for him. And then like a segment later, they show like the current standings, and Kyle was like one of the worst 5.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you,
it made
he
no
didn't
sense.
even know how to figure it out.
No, and I feel like they missed, because I was listening, well, it had been Monday or Tuesday morning, the NASCAR radio. They had Todd Gordon, the crew chief, on there. And they was talking about the varying strategies for that final. Was it the second to final stage of the pit stop, or is that the final stage?
Second to final.
So he was like, we all had varying strategies for that. They never mentioned this on the TV, which on the radio here I'm talking about was fascinating. He's like, the Gibbs guys, I know what they were doing. Their strategy was to pit on the first lap because they said the cars aren't up to speed yet. With the limited horsepower, it takes a lap or two for you to fully get full song. So if they pit on the first lap, you're going to lose less ground because nobody's going as fast. I'm like, well, where was that at on the TV? They never mentioned that. And he said, like, for Penske, they're trying to draft off each other, find a clean lap. But then when it looked like a caution, Newman and Chastain, Keselowski just came down. He happened to be coming off of turn 4, and his spotter told him there may be a caution because these guys are running each other hard. He just ducked down pit road, and then it came out. Like, they didn't mention any of that stuff on the broadcast. I'm like, oh, like there was a method behind the madness that we didn't know about. I'm like, oh, it just looked like guys were randomly pitting. Like, oh, why are the Gibbs guys pitting on the first lap? And then you hear what the crew chiefs say, and like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. But I feel like the broadcast
have to do a better job. You know, it's not good, because what it tells me is they're being lazy. You know, Boyer and Gordon are saying, we know how to convey our thoughts in this sport because we're drivers, and we're just going to show up and we're going to look at the race and we're going to make those observations. They're not doing any work in between. It's not right. It's not fair to the audience.
They're trying to be a comedy duo. I think they spend more time trying to build up the relationship between the pair of them than actually focusing in on, like you said, what are the strategies that are going on, conveying to those people who may not know and don't have the access that they do, what's actually going to be happening in the race. I think NBC does a better job of that. I'm anxious to see how they approach this season, because I think they were better than Fox last year, but still all around, the overall broadcasts in general, both networks need work.
They need a crew chief. And I mean, Larry McReynolds from Sonoma to the All-Star race was like the only guy giving you any information. I'd be curious what they do, because there's the big rumor that Jeff Gordon's not going to be in the booth next year. He's going to go back to Hendrick and help run that team. So do they go a 2-man booth? I don't know if Boyer's kind of nothing against him. He's kind of the funny, witty guy. You kind of need a guy that really technical, can tell you what's happened. Kind of like Steve Letarte does, a recent crew chief for NBC. They need that. That's like they're missing.
I don't know why that's so difficult. There's a bunch of those guys out there. I don't know.
The NBC pairing for the Indy 500 of Jimmy Johnson and it was Letarte. The excellent, absolutely. Yeah. They need to bring that pairing, that type of pairing to this, and play down the comedy. The relationship stuff, nobody cares. It's about the racing. It's the on-track product.
All right. Well, it's going to be they're going to try to. I'm sure the laughter is going to be aplenty on Sunday with this racetrack because if they don't do their homework, which they probably won't, it's going to be a crazy scene out there on Sunday, which we hope is good. We have no idea if this is going to be good or not. It could backfire once again, and then you have, and I would think, correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, I would think that if there's going to be a driver that can really dominate at this track, it's going to be a driver that is usually pretty good historically on concrete tracks like Dover and Bristol, right?
Usually that, and they like, you're going to have a combo of that in Darlington. They said this track's going to run like Darlington, similar size. Obviously, the front stretch dog leg's a little bit different, or the D shape, but it's going to run a similar between Bristol and Dover and Darlington. You combine them both. And I also think you're going to look at the season. Who's been good is going to be good. Hendrick is probably going to be good. And that Todd Gordon interview I referenced earlier is he made a good point of why Hendrick's good right now. And it's what we've been talking about, that the 2022 car is coming out next year. So there's been a parts freeze. You can't develop anything. You can only make it better. So some teams are electing, why would I spend all this money? We've getting all these pieces for this new car. Let's get this down the road first. We know, like he said, we know what Hendrick's doing. We could see all the information data now. We know what they're doing. They've got low downforce on the lowest amount you can get for the package and very minimal drag. He goes, that's why you see them pull away on a straightaway. There's minimal drag, and they're faster. But for us to get better at that, do we spend our focus there, or do we spend our focus on the playoff tracks, getting our cars to win a championship in 2022? Do we need to get better at that right now? Because like he made reference, this weekend is a 750 package. Well, the All-Star race was that 510, which is similar to the 550. That's why Hendrick guys, they keep winning on these mile and a halves. They keep looking really good on these tracks because there's a lot of on throttle time. You're not lifting off the throttle, so there's a longer straightaway. Short tracks, it's a shorter track. Okay. You're not going in a straight line as long. Their advantage really isn't an advantage on 750 tracks like it is for the 550 tracks. And he said, if you look, that's why they're so good. So the final two races of the year are on 750 tracks. They don't really have that advantage. So why don't we slowly punt the regular season per se? Let's develop here and there for the playoffs, knowing that we can get them later in the rounds. But right now, we know what they're doing. It's just we can't make a part or manipulate cars under the rule book because there's a parts freeze. This is what you got. Okay. And if you submit something to NASCAR in the past, like you used to, they could approve it, you could put on your car. Right now, for money-wise, they're not doing it. So that's why I expect Hendrick just to look just as good this weekend, just because, yes, it's a 750 track, the package, but there's longer straightaways. So I think you're going to have a Hendrick Gibbs type show again, like we've been seeing.
That's exciting. Let's go over the field.
Sorry to burst the bubble.
Yeah, well, that's okay. We were prepared.
Nashville has never been a great track of passing anyway.
Yeah,
that's the whole reason they stopped going.
We're not. There's no high expectations this week.
No,
unless crazy things happen. Accidents.
Maybe we'll get a good finish.
Something crazy. There are actually 3 drivers we have all agreed on this week. That's unusual.
That'd be a record.
And Kyle Larson is not one of them.
And all we stayed away from.
Yes, we all stayed away from Kyle Larson, even though he's the hottest driver on the planet. The odds are just too low at 3-1, and it's still a new racetrack for the drivers. Yep. So it's just so much uncertainty. By the way, are they doing any practice or qualifying?
Yes, they are.
When is that?
Saturday. It's Saturday, Sunday show. That's right. Yeah.
It's Saturday?
Yep. Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So we'll find out a little bit more. What would you think? How important do you think qualifying is going to be at this track? Because qualifying is not important at every track. So what's going to be more important, do you think, CJ, qualifying or practice?
That's a fantastic question. I mean, certainly for the first stage, it's going to be qualifying, but I think from the race standpoint and race win perspective, you got to look at practice, because that's when you're honing in your long run car and you're looking at your strategies over a full fuel run. So one lap pace is great to get you up at the front, and track position is going to count for a lot, but it's not Charlotte, it's not Texas. I think we'll see a little bit more jumbling. It's going to come from pit stops and cautions. It's not going to necessarily come from on-track racing, but I think you'll see some jumbling by the time we get to the finish.
Do you agree, Eric?
Yeah, because it's an abrasive track being concrete. So it's going to be like, in terms of Darlington, if a caution comes out, you're coming down and getting 4 tires. You're not going to manipulate your way. Like, I'm going to do a 2-tire stop or a fuel only and find my way to the front. So you could pass. Like Darlington, even though it's a tough track you think to pass on, you could still pass. Like, you could still, so you like CJ said, you clean air up front is going to be great, but with the 750 package, it's going to start spreading out. I don't think we're going to see a lot of cautions. I think it's going to be those typical races. You're going to have all whipped to like 50 to go. You may only have your competition caution, your stage breaks, and maybe a fluke spin by Josh Bilicki or something like that. Like, oh, great. Hey, Rick Ware's in the house. They're spinning again. But other than that, I think that's going to lead to longer runs, spreading out. You can make passes. Okay. So I would rather have a car dialed in for a long run, because we know that's probably what's going to end up happening.
All right. So we don't go with Larson, and everybody doesn't, a monkey can pick Larson. But we did all agree on Chase Elliott at 7-1, Kyle Busch at 8-1, and Joey Logano at 11-1. So Elliott is the next hottest driver. Second, first, third in the All-Star race. Also, he's been very good at Dover and pretty decent at Bristol. A couple of those concrete tracks. Kyle, who's awesome at Dover and Bristol, has been doing a lot better lately. And then Logano, he's been okay lately. And I know Penske's not on top of their game, but I don't know the reason you guys went with Logano, CJ, but my reasoning was the same reason I went with Logano. I forget which race. Oh, it was the Texas road course race, because he just seems to be performing really well in all of these new races this year. So I just figured, okay, I'm just going to go, because I've been taking Logano ever since he was good. I forget which one, maybe the dirt race. Okay, I'm just going to keep going with him, and he's performed pretty well at these new tracks.
Yeah, he has, and he's outperforming his Penske teammates pretty handily each and every week. So he was great again last week. I mean, Brad Keselowski came out of nowhere compared to where he'd been recently. But Logano's got 4 top 5 finishes in the last 5 races. Elliott's all top 5 finishes. Kyle Busch is top 5, top 10 kind of guy. So these guys have consistency under their belt. Logano certainly has consistency, and it's top 5 consistency. It's a new track, just like the dirt track. So I expect a lot from him, and definitely look out for his practice times to see where he hangs out on Saturday.
Who's your top pick overall, Eric? Because your money was thrown around pretty much across the board. So it was hard to tell exactly which was your favorite driver. So who do you like the most right now?
I like Elliott. I just, with it being an inaugural race, I didn't know what to expect. And I'm still kind of hovering close enough to be in the positive. I'm like, I don't want to lose another 100 if I can get more guys, more bang for the buck, just to keep nickel and diming it up. So I'd say Elliott. Because of Larson's dominance, I think that's why you're getting Elliott where you are. But like you just said, you're giving the guys last 4 finishes are third, first, second on points paying races for 7-1 at a track we've never raced at before. It's like, hey, that on a team that is the most superior team in the sport right now. So for 7-1, he's almost triple the odds, because Larson was 3-1. Like that's a better option. Do I think Larson will be good? Yeah, but it's what the odds makers are saying is Larson or the field is pretty much what they're saying. And I just don't have enough faith at an inaugural race to just take the one guy. So I'd say Elliott is my 1A, and I would say right now Truex is my 1B, only because of what Truex has done at Darlington. He hasn't had the top 5s on the season lately, but again, they're not on 750 tracks lately. They've been a lot of, other than the road courses. On 750 tracks, he's won 2 of his 3 races. He got a 750 horsepower package. He dominated Darlington on the same package. So I would say they're 1A, 1B right now. And you remember, right, last year they both could have won the Southern 500. They both took each other out with like 14 to go. So right now I'd say those are 1A, 1B and my two guys.
Well, that's actually the most. Elliott is the driver that we have combined to put on the most investment dollars this week. I did 28. CJ did 20. Eric, you did 16. So that's our guy. Between the three of us, it seems to be Chase Elliott, and definitely the odds are. I agree. That's up there. Before we let you go, Eric, we will be talking to you tomorrow on the IndyCar show. Harvick at 12-1 and Bowman at 15-1 are your top sleepers.
Yep. I wanted ran out of money. Buescher would be probably my top overall sleeper. I was shocked he was as low as he was because his best races are 750 tracks and worn out racetracks. Homestead was one of his better races. Darlington, he did good. Atlanta, I think was a top 10 for him. So I feel like he's a top 10 guy. You look in on strategy and he could be there. So he would be my top long shot. But Harvick and Bowman, I just felt like Harvick is due eventually. He's always good at Darlington. He's usually good at Bristol. He won the Southern 500 last year. He won the fall race at Bristol last year. Dover, he's just top 5, top 10 kind of guy. So I feel like combine all those 750 package, it's kind of more in his wheelhouse. For 12-1 to give me Kevin Harvick, I'd be too good to pass up. And then Bowman, he won at Dover. You never know what you're going to get out of him. He's got 4 top 8s his last 8 on the season. It seems like it's going to be something weird where like we keep talking about Hendrick and it's going to be him or Byron that's going to end up winning this thing. But it just a lot of people I think are sleeping on Bowman a little bit. I didn't think too highly of him. He's starting to heat back up again, and I look at the playoff points and he's third. He's got 10 playoff points. The only guys ahead of him are Larson and Truex. So one win's going to get him 15, and he'll have 15 total playoff points. So I think you're just going to see those guys. I feel like this is a race. We're getting to the point, like CJ said a few weeks ago, about the road courses. You don't see a lot of fluke winners. I think we're kind of inaugural race, road courses. We're past that now. The good guys are the good guys, and they're good guys for a reason. You can't strategize your way to a win, I don't think, on Sunday. So that's why I kind of went top heavy. Most of my guys are up top. Okay. I feel like somebody out of that group is going to win.
And you have all of your coverage as usual ready to go for this week's race, racereviewonline.net.
Yeah, I have. Since it's an inaugural race, I've got same thing I did a few weeks ago. The burning questions and the preview are kind of all tied together because there's no track trends. There's really no favorites or sleepers because we don't even know who's going to be good there. So I kind of combine it all, like who would be the favorite, who would be this, like. And I got that report on Hendrick in that article about are we too high on them right now because of all the stats of they haven't led a lot of laps on playoff tracks this year. Kind of like I alluded to earlier, the 550 tracks they've been great on, but they're not playoff 550 tracks. So that's in there too. That'll be out Friday as normal. And then all my IndyCar stuff that's already coming out. Zoom calls already started with them this week. So all good.
And you have our fantasy report up yet?
Yeah, I think that was up yesterday or the day before. So, yep, that's up too.
And we've got our, matter of fact, for our fantasy report, CJ has jumped into the lead thanks to Kyle Larson.
So, yeah, it's like he knew something. Kyle Larson, I saw he wrote there, CJ's team and my team. Your team needs a little help this week because I looked at Larson, Truex, Elliott, Logano. There's another one. Like we've got them all. We've got all the guys that we've talked about so far on our team. So you might be able to sneak one in there. I think you have Bowman and Keselowski, so they've stuck a few in there this year.
I've been disappointed by Ryan Blaney hasn't won enough so but it's a long season. Again, this is what we talk about. Larson is having his run. Hamlin, look how cool Hamlin's cooled off. He was having a Larson type run without the wins early in the season. So Larson's going to cool off. The big question is who's that third driver going to be, and hopefully it'll be on my team. So
can we? I don't know how to ask this to Blaney, and I want to ask this without getting punched in the face, but. Why is this every year right now? It seems like he'll win. And then it's like, where did Blaney go? It's every year. Like out of the last 10 races, he hasn't had a top 5.
Yeah,
like,
but
it's just
again, I think we've talked, CJ and I have talked about this a lot the last few weeks. I think it's his team. I just don't think he has a good supporting cast around him. Matter of fact, they put up that stat last week. I wonder where they got that when they were talking about the pit crews. And they said, these are the top pit crews. This is the top pit crews team, and here are the top pit crew drivers, I guess the ones that they believe maybe are best at getting in and out of the pits. All right, whatever. But Ryan Blaney's name or team was nowhere to be found in the top 10. And that just proves the point. That's when your team needs you the most. He gets no help in the pits from his team.
No, and to me, if I were them, it seems like in the playoffs, second round on, it's like those are good tracks for me. He heats up. But the first round track,
he has to get around
struggles
now.
at. He's got to. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're like, hey, I know we're in Atlanta, but we really need to be good at Bristol and Richmond. Like, let's just use all these as practice sessions to come back. But it leads to the question, which we probably need to do a silly season show here soon because it's already starting to heat up. Should Penske just go back? We know Austin Cindric's coming. We know he's with the Wood brothers for next year. There's talks he could slide over to the 2. Should Penske move Blaney to the 2, shut the 12 team down, get Blaney and that team going, and then move Cindric over? Is it, instead of moving the third driver in, would they be better off just sometimes addition by subtraction is good? Do you move them to the 2 car and say, I don't think they will.
They have never, and I said this a couple weeks ago, they have never been successful at getting that third team going at that organization. Whatever reason, whenever Sam Hornish Jr. was in that role, there were many other drivers that they've tried to get that traction with, and Blaney's been the most successful by far with it. But it seems like for whatever reason, in that Cup garage at Penske, they're just a 2-car team is when they're at their best.
But I did notice that even though Blaney was I think he was 11th in Richmond and 8th at Darlington. They were actually really good results for him because, as you said, he's not good at those tracks. So I think he'll take 11th and 8th in the first 2 playoff rounds in those 2 tracks every day of the week because he knows he'll be able to get out of there and move on to the rest of the races and the rest of the playoffs.
He's got to. Yeah, he's got to. I mean, their strategy, Penske on the IndyCar side, as an example, hates running 4 cars. He says 3's their best for resources. They just feel like they spread themselves thin. Here they expanded to a 4-car to bring McLaughlin in. They haven't won a race this season. They're 0 for 8. They won 5 of the last 6 races last year as a 3-car team. They expand, and look what happens. I just wonder, like Ray Hall as an example over there, they've got 2 cars. They hire all these engineers. It's like you got an all-star cast that you could have a third team, but you've got them just with 2. It's like they're maximizing what they got. I just wonder if you dissolve that third car, because like CJ said, that it is never in the history of Penske, you never see all 3 cars up there. Usually the third one fizzles out. If you just take that car away and move that team and keep the 2 team to say, hey, the 2 and the 12 are now all the 2. You got all those resources. How good could Blaney be? Wouldn't it be better if you just, hey, we got technically 2 crew chiefs on your stand. You got 2 engineers. We're gonna get this right, because like Larry McReynolds said the other day, if you can't make 1 or 2 cars right, because all these teams are talking about expansion again, what makes you think you can get an additional car right? Get your 1 car right first. So, but there's a lot of silly season stuff. I think it's about to happen. That colleague's gonna, I think, announce a full-time Cup team. Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan's team wants to expand. Kurt Busch is listed as a potential guy there. If he leaves, you got Ganassi, Brad Keselowski. Nobody's ever denied it. I think it's formality going to be announced. He's going to go to Roush Fenway. Do they expand to 3 cars, or is Newman now a free agent? Silly season is about to get real wild here pretty soon. So then if Keselowski leaves, which it sounds like he is, does Penske, like I said, fill that seat, go down to 2? Does Cindric come over? If he comes over, does the Benedetto stay the place? There's a lot of factors that I think we could probably do a whole show on just silly season.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll do that.
Which gets a lot of people. I think for some reason, you get to this year, it's playoffs and silly season.
Yeah.
That's all anybody wants to talk about.
And again, that's the part about NASCAR that is definitely one of the things that needs to be fixed, because no other sport has it when players and management, and they're worrying about next year instead of, no, this is the time of year, it's the time of the season. You're supposed to be concentrating on winning a championship, not about where am I going to be next year.
Yeah. Can you imagine, like, 2 years ago, like, your Nationals are 19-31, and you're like, hey, let's just start talking about silly season. Who's under contract next year here?
Sure.
And let's punt them. And then they come back and win the World Series. Or the Bucks last year didn't look like a Super Bowl team. If you, hey, we're mid-year, let's talk about playoffs. And they're not even in the playoff race. Is Brady going to come back? They don't talk about that. It seems like in NASCAR, once you hit the summer with this playoff format, and I agree with some people like saying it dilutes some of these races. I don't look at Nashville or Pocono as like a big deal. I just look at it as a stepping stone to get us to the playoffs, because at this point, I think we kind of all know who our playoff drivers are. And we don't even talk about we're talking more about playoffs and silly. That's what drives the sport, and or racing packages. And we're not even talking about races that race weekend. People just lose focus at this point.
Is there a deadline or
no.
A kind of, do people know that, all right, usually by this time of year, most of the top drivers, or 90% or 95% of the guys, are already signed on somewhere else for next year?
There's a lot of deals that are pretty much done. They just don't announce them for sponsors or like, I didn't realize this was a thing. So I was talking to Colton Herta in Indianapolis for the road course race when he signed to stay with Andretti. There's a lot of language in contracts that it's like, you can't even talk. You might be able to, hey, I know, like Keselowski, I know I'm going to Roush Fenway. That's my goal. I've already talked to him. We've not formally talked. We've not agreed to anything. I just know that's going to be my direction. But there might be language in that contract that he's got now that might say you can't talk to anybody till July 31st, or you can't do. So there's a lot of those formalities in place that nobody wants to be in a breach of contract that are going on behind the scenes. Like Kurt Busch I don't have a deal with Ganassi. This is my end of my year. But sponsorship, does Monster Energy come out? There's a lot of all kind of factors that it could go for a while. But there's a lot of big name guys that it's like there's a lot of dominoes this year. It feels like Hendrick's good. Penske knows about to lose one. I think Gibbs is probably good. But every other team, I think you can say there's going to be some movement.
When is the next bye week?
The Olympic thing. About a month from now.
When is that? Well, that'll be a good time for us then since we'll be off for a couple of weeks. We'll throw in a show where we can go over everything.
You get a lot of viewers that way. Yeah. You mentioned the word silly season. People are going to, especially like you said, it's a month from now. You got New Hampshire and then you got 2 weeks off, and we'll probably be more rumors heating up between now and then anyway. So it'll be.
We'll target the silly season podcast during the Olympics.
We'll probably need to make it a weekly at that point, because people, I'm telling you, you'll get a lot of NASCAR fans. You talk about Dale, silly season, and now Elliott. You're going to get in playoffs now. You will get a lot of. And I get it. I see. If I was a fan, I'm like, who's doing what? Who's going where? It seems to start earlier and earlier.
Whatever can drive traffic to the channel, that's what we'll do.
Exactly. So, and we got insight to it. We're not just spitballing here. There's method behind the madness that you get one of that of. So it's
maybe we'll start.
One of them is going to get announced. Yeah,
maybe we'll start that next week.
One will get announced on Saturday. Yeah, you're going to have one on Saturday. I'll give you that hint. Something's going to come on Saturday.
Okay, there you go. So then maybe who needs a playoff
a new team
show?
It's a new. Yeah, there you go. It's a new team that I heard is going to. All intent purposes, they're going to announce their Cup plans on Saturday.
Okay. Interesting. Well, then maybe we should have a special Saturday report, because that's going to be all over the, it'd be a big keyword, whatever it is that you're talking about. Yeah. So we'll have to take advantage of it over the weekend.
Yeah.
When's the race? The IndyCar race?
Sunday.
Oh, it is Sunday. Okay. So both races are on Sunday.
Both on NBCSN. NASCAR is now moving to NBC Sports, so now you're going to get them on the same network. I like it back to back. I think it helps.
NASCAR's on NBC now?
Yep.
Oh, so now the NBC starts. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So,
that's why I feel like that last weekend, it seemed like Boyer and Gordon,
checked
even
out.
Mike Joyce, they were checked out. Yeah, I feel like this is an points paying race. I'm just I'm just here so I don't get fined, Marshawn Lynch type deal.
All right.
I'm just here to call this, and I'm out of here.
Considering there's no racing on Saturday, if there's a big story on Saturday, then maybe we'll be on for a short while.
Yeah, we'll try if it. My luck, they're going to announce it right in the middle of IndyCar qualifying. Just watch. I did hear it's coming around that time, but it seems like NASCAR tries to, if they get along now, but it seems like if something gets announced, it's right in the middle.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, hey, we got a good thing going on over here. Hey, squirrel, hey, over here.
Yes.
It's just like it'll happen. From what I heard, it's going to happen around that time.
Right.
So we'll see.
Well,
but it's a new team, but it's not a new NASCAR team. That's a big hint.
It begins with a K and ends with a G.
Exactly. Yep.
Begins with a K and ends with a G. Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
And it's not a Cup team, but it's a NASCAR team.
Okay.
That should narrow it down. It's not a secret. I saw it on like the press conference schedule. Somebody tweeted it out, and it's right there. It's on there. It says the K ends with the G announcement in the media center at Nashville Super Speedway. I think it said 12:30.
And why isn't so if you actually typed it in right now online?
You find it, yeah. I'll say it. It's not gonna break. It's Colleague. I just don't know who the driver is going to be yet.
Yeah.
They've been talking. They've already said that they're going to run full time. They just haven't fully announced it yet. So now, but I don't know. Right now, I don't think they have a charter. That's the other thing. You might have some good non-charter teams next year. Penske's talked about obviously trying to purchase one, another one, because they've got 3 cars. They could technically have one for the 4th because you got leverage. Denny Hamlin's team's talking about starting a second team. Sounds like that's going to happen. Justin Marks and Pitbull, Daniel Suarez maybe getting another teammate. All these drivers, like, we don't have a charter though. We're jumping in the sport, but we know we're only going for 4 open spots. Well, you might have some good teams. All might be expanding. You might have 6 good teams, but there only 4 of them can make it. So, Colleague, I'm curious of who it's going to be.
Who are they?
They're Xfinity. They've got Allmendinger and Justin Haley and Jeb Burton.
What do they? What do they do? The company itself. That's just a
Leaf Filter.
Leaf Filter. Yeah.
What is that?
Colleague is actually from Matt Colleague. He's actually from Northern Ohio, right around here where I live. He owns Leaf Filter.
What is that?
Leaf Filters, the gutter
guards.
Gutter guard.
Okay.
House gutters or building gutters. He's also got Hyper Ice, which is if you're an athlete, the guns, the massage guns that massage your muscles and things like that as well. So very successful business guy here in the Northern Ohio area, has been very successful in Xfinity as well.
Okay. Well, look,
yeah, they're good.
That sounds like something to talk about. So we'll get into a lot of, and I've already got a whole bunch of ideas thrown around my head for how we can promote it properly during the shows and make it easy to understand. Because a lot of times you throw all this stuff all over the place, like throwing darts on a board, and you can confuse the listener or the viewer.
Yeah, because you'll have to start with, like, the ride's open, who's maybe leaving, but the charter aspect is a big deal. And the easiest way we could explain all that is just you look at it as a franchise. Like, NFL's got 32 teams. Like, these are 36 charters, and they're hard to move. Like, if you've got one, why would you give it up? Because they're worth something. But
it's like having a license.
Teams. Yeah. Why would you it's a guaranteed entry into the race. Like, there's 36 guaranteed entries. So you got something like Rick Ware Racing. They've not done much at anything. They're a field fuller. They've got 4 of them. They've got 4 charters.
Meaning they can have 4 teams?
4 teams and a guaranteed spot. So, like, what they do is they sell sponsorships on their cars based of, I got a guaranteed spot in this race. I know for all 36 points paying races, I've got a spot for 4 cars. I could sell that. Whereas if they didn't, let's be honest, they're not making the field on speed when we get back to qualifying. So, but if they've got that, why would you give it up? But now you've got these bigger teams saying, I'm in the market for one. I want to expand. We've got money. We've got more resources than that team. I want to buy that charter. So that's now some of them are trying to play hardball. Like, well, I can just race as an open team. I don't need that charter. But for money wise, you do need that charter because the charter teams out of the purse gets paid higher. You're guaranteed spots. Why would you want to go to Daytona for the 500, not thinking you're got a guaranteed spot? So that's going to kind of be the driving focus here is you've got 36 charters over here, but you got these teams wanting to expand.
Okay.
They've got room to expand, but they don't have a charter. How do they get it? How do they buy it? So it's one thing to get a driver.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, if 23XL Racing or 11 Racing wants to come out and be like, hey, we got Kurt Busch, and he's bringing Monster Energy over, and we got a second car, but we don't have a charter. Why would Kurt Busch want to go to a team without a charter? Like, why would I want to risk not making the field? So
is there enough
there's
talent
a lot behind
in the industry for? Because you could say all you want about money. I've got the money. I got Michael Jordan, or maybe there's going to be another superstar athlete with millions and billions of dollars, and I'm going to come in, I'm going to be an owner. Money's one thing, but is there enough talent in the industry when it comes to understanding how to run these teams properly? Because we even pitch and complain about Ryan Blaney's team. So is there enough talent across the board?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think there is. Plus, we got to find that next generation anyways. Penske's 83. Hendrick's, upper 70s? Childress is in his upper 70s. Who's the next? Those guys eventually aren't going to be here. Petty, he's in his 80s. I mean, it's like who's that next wave? I mean, I know Tony Stewart's probably in that, but who's this next wave that's going to take over? That's why Gordon, that's why the rumor was he's going to get out of the booth, because let's be honest, Jimmy Johnson, he's running the competition. I mean, he's running a lot of things at Hendrick, and there's rumors that Gordon's going to take on an even bigger role, and eventually it's going to be those two running Hendrick. But who is that next wave? Hamlin and Michael Jordan? Let's hope they are. I mean, Keselowski's seeing future. He's a younger owner. Eventually it's going to happen, and these teams are saying, hey, we could be it, but if they don't get a charter, do you run them off? Do you risk? Do you want Rick Ware Racing? Nothing against these guys. They just don't have the resources or anything, but do you want them to hog all the charters and turn people away?
Yeah, sure.
And what if – so it's a catch-22. Do you get rid of the charters? I mean, some of them say it's a good business model because it guarantees you spots you could sell. It's every other league's got organizations that are part of it. So it's kind of that catch-22. And I think that's where this year is going to hit the tipping point is you got all these teams, you got a new car. What's the direction you're going to want to go with this? Because like they said, this new car, in the past, you can run old cars. Like the Rick Ware cars, that chassis might be from 2013, 2014. It's not a new chassis, a new car. They can buy a used car from Gibbs or Ganassi, or it doesn't matter. This new car, you can't do that. It's a brand new car. Okay. So do they have the money to keep 4 charters? So that's why I said it'd be a good hour-long show of talking silly season, and we could talk for a while about this because there's a lot of scenarios that are at play.
All right. Well, we'll start doing that immediately, and we'll brainstorm, and it should be a lot of fun. We will talk to you again, Eric, on Thursday, tomorrow.
Yeah.
We have a time yet?
Morning. We talked. I was going to see if we can do a little bit earlier.
10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Can you do earlier? I could do earlier if you want to do earlier. I don't know what your schedule's like, but
I might be able to. So
okay, just let me know. I could. Yep.
Early tomorrow morning, so it'll be available online on the channel, probably by noon, the latest, for anybody out there that is watching this show. And then we'll be back again next week. And who knows where you will be next week, Eric, as far as NASCAR, because maybe we'll have a completely new format set.
Never know.
Your show. So.
Yep.
All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow, Eric. CJ and I are going to wrap up the show. Thanks as always.
Thanks. Good seeing you, CJ. Good finally
seen
the videos. I haven't seen you in person, so there we go.
All right,
Have
Eric.
a good one.
Guys. Thanks.
Okay, so a couple more things I want to go over before we wrap up with the drivers and so forth. CJ, of course, your affiliation with RotoWire. Anybody actually listening? Oh, I get Eric's happy face. Should I keep Eric's happy face on there? I should. Okay. I was going to delete that, but we'll keep his happy face. So, Eric, if you want to blame someone, blame CJ. Let's go over here. As you can see on the screen, we have the new 10-day subscription information, and that's for RotoWire. So bottom line is, if you take that link right there, which is rotowire.com/prime SN, as in Prime Sports Network, all you got to do is take that and go to that URL, and it'll pop up, and you'll see an opportunity for you to receive a free 10-day subscription to RotoWire. And that's the entire website. Is that correct? Yeah, I'm showing it right now here on the screen. Let's see. I wasn't actually expecting to do this, so it's taking up the entire screen. But there it is right there. You can see, I'll put it over here for a minute over your screen there, CJ, but it basically gives you the information of what you're going to look at when you use the link, access to every sport, plus the DFS tools. Don't worry about a credit card, et cetera, and there it is. Just simple information to fill out, and then you have yourself a free 10-day subscription. So looking forward to this relationship, because it's not just going to involve motorsports, but also football. We're talking behind the scenes about developing a dynasty football league. I've been talking about that for the last couple of years with our lads. So this would be the perfect partner to have that, to get that done. And what's the difference? Because it's a major difference, CJ, between our fantasy league and NASCAR Fantasy League, that basically everybody uses it a completely different way. But obviously every site like RotoWire has maybe different formulas and so forth. So what's the difference about how we talk fantasy on this show? Because when we talk about these drivers and the odds, I think the odds are the only thing that when we talk about that really has anything to do with gambling. Everything else conveys fantasy just as it does if you want to wager on a driver winning a race. And then that's why sometimes we'll talk about it and say, well, yeah, maybe this driver, I don't think he's going to win, but fantasy wise, he's a good play. Maybe he's definitely a top 10, top 5 driver. So what are the biggest differences between RotoWire's fantasy league and ours? So you can theoretically just 100% kind of go with like default to RotoWire's optimizer, and that's how you're going to play it every week. Okay. Okay, so if somebody opens up a 10-day subscription, again, rotowire.com/primesn, how do they find out? How do they go from there to going directly to your page? Now you wrote. And RotoWire used to do IndyCar coverage. Okay. Okay. And by the way, what in the world is that Tony Stewart racing show they got going on? What is that? Saturday nights. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool when they say they don't have spotters, and there's some other. So it's kind of cool that it's sort of like having the spring football leagues compete against the NFL, and they use their own rules and things of that nature to make it a little bit more fun and different. All right. Anyway, so as far as the rest of our picks, we all like Elliott, Kyle, and Logano. Elliott's our top value at 7-1. As far as the rest, CJ, you also went with Hamlin and Truex, just like Eric, at 8-1. It seems like Eric likes Truex more, I believe. But who do you like more out of those three? Kyle, Hamlin, or Truex? Okay. And then I was the only one to go with Keselowski. You were the only one to go with Blaney, and we all went with Logano. So interesting how that all worked out. Why did you go with Blaney over Keselowski? I hope so. And then my long shots, Busher, So I did have money to put on Busher, but I put a few bucks on Busher and Suarez almost every week anyway. They're part of my fantasy team. And if they win, I definitely want to make sure I make a little bit, but especially Busher, just like Eric said. But I was going to put money on Kurt Busch. Then I was like, nah, whatever. I didn't have enough money. Then I saw that you put money on Kurt Busch. And I said, you know what? You know, if CJ is going to do it, then he sees something sort of like, you know, I was kind of putting, so you know what? I'll find a way to put a couple of bucks on Kurt Busch. And that's what I did. So I actually you put 5 on Kurt Busch at 50-1. Confidence. Yeah. There's always a race. Yeah. All right. And so there you go. As far as fantasy, then he's definitely your top long shot to get into the top 10 or top 5. Okay. And anybody like in the really big long shot area that you think could hit the top 10? You know, Almirola actually does good on concrete, but he's just been so bad. It's just Chastain's been pretty confident and hot lately. And I'll tell you right now, if he does find his way into the top 10 this week and Di Benedetto has a bad week, I might actually pick up Chastain. Yeah, I'm thinking about that. The only thing I was holding it back on is Di Benedetto's best 2 races at Pocono, which is coming up, were last year's races. So I'm like, yeah. So I might have to wait, which would open the door for either one of you guys if you want to grab Chastain. But all right. So we will talk again next week. I'll talk behind the scenes and tomorrow morning with Eric about our future programming, additional programming, because I get the feeling we're going to scrap the playoff standings podcast and do some silly season talk with Eric. And then we'll find a way to get Eric on the show again real soon, too. So, CJ, appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you again. What is it? Next Wednesday for the Pocono doubleheader, correct? Yeah, exciting. Thanks, CJ. And thanks, Eric. Thanks for holding on, Eric. See you next week.